Hey team, welcome back. So we are on our final episode for this section. Remember, the objective of this section was or is to support the CRUD operations that we set up in our server. Right now, remember, we're only working with the project object right now. Later on, we're gonna add users, backlog items, or project tasks and whatnot. But for now, we're just CRUDing our project. Okay. Up to this point, we're able to create, read, and update our project. Now we want to delete it, and this completes that cycle before we move on to other things. All right. So again, we're going to start working on our flow and start touching or changing things that are involved in everything that we need to do to actually delete a project. So the first thing is to come to the types.js file, and then we're going to create a new type, which is going to be called, obviously, delete project. This is going to be a really cool example, by the way, of the power of Redux and the power of us actually updating or managing the state with Redux. This one's going to be a really cool lecture, actually. Been looking forward to this one. So we're going to call this delete project. And by the way, and I want to make a stop here. If you know the types that you're going to be implementing, you don't have to do them one by one like I've been doing it, okay? The reason why I'm doing it this way is because I just kind of want to walk you through the whole progression, okay? First you have the type, then you do the reducer, etc., etc. But if you know all the operations that you are going to want to support with Redux beforehand, you can type them all at the same time. Like I could have done this at the beginning of the section. Okay, right now this is just me showing you the entire workflow of wiring up using a reducer for a specific action. Okay, now that we have this in place, we're going to go to our project actions. And in our project actions, first we need to import the delete project action here on the project action. That's fine, we needed this. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. We actually need to go to our project reducer. And in the project reducer, we're going to set the state, or we're going to set the case for our delete project. And this one is going to be a very interesting one. Okay, so case delete project, which we also have to import. We already have it there. Perfect. Now, in our case delete project, we're going to return the following. The state, and then an updated list of projects. But here is when it gets really cool. We're going to set things up in a way that if there aren't obviously any problems, because what happens is that when we delete a project, then we want a fresh list of projects. But we want to accomplish that without needing to refresh the page. Okay? But just for now, I am going to leave it like this because I feel that if I explain this the way I have it in my head, it's not gonna make sense. So I'd rather show you how ugly it's gonna look if we didn't have Redux, and then I'm going to actually bring Redux to the rescue. Okay, so just bear with me. Actually wire it up like this just for now, and I promise you this is gonna get better. Okay, so then we're gonna go to the actions, project actions file, and then we're going to create our action. And again, I'm kind of like trying that just because I do want to show what Redux is going to do for us, and it's going to be really, really cool. Export const delete project. And in order for us to delete our project, we need to pass the identifier of the project. Remember, in our backend, that's how we delete it. We're gonna get our dispatch, and then we're going to do await Axios the delete, And then obviously we're going to pass the backticks. Remember backticks. And let me see if I saved the delete one. I probably did not. But anyway, I can just grab it here because it is the same endpoint. And then we're gonna pass this endpoint here with the ID or the identifier of the project. Perfect. And then when this goes well, dispatch, we're gonna dispatch the type delete project, and then the payload. The payload that we're passing here is obviously the ID, right? The ID of the project. And this is, believe me, this is gonna make sense why we're passing this as a payload to the reducer. Actually, you know what, for now I'm even like just gonna get rid of this and just have it return the state for now, just so we don't run into any issues. Okay, but we're gonna use this to work at our reducer. Cool. All right, so the other thing that we're going to do is now go to our project item. Why do we need to go to our project item? Because the project item is the one that has the button delete project. Now, this URL here is not something that we are going to pass from React Router because we are not loading anything. We're actually just deleting the component. So for this, we're probably going to just need a function, right? And so we probably just need a function. So we need to start wiring things up so that we can use that function. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to take care of is actually our imports. And we're going to import prop types from prop types, and we're going to import connect because we need to connect this to the store so we can do the changes that we want to perform from React Redux. And then obviously we need to bring the delete project action that we just created. So import, let me just confirm the name, delete project. Actually, I might as well copy paste it. From the slash actions, there you go, and then project actions. Perfect, we're in good shape here. Okay, so we have all of our imports. Now let's go ahead and connect our component to the store. Again, parenthesis here, the name of the component. Then we're gonna bring connect here, and then we're gonna pass it and all parameters because we are not mapping any state to profs in this use case. We really don't need to. And then we need to delete the project. Okay, then we need our prop types. Remember, this one here is lowercase p. And then we need the delete project function, which is prop types. Func is required. All good. Perfect. Okay, so let me see what else. So we have our project props, which we're passing. So now that we have this in place, what we want to do is that we want to set it up in a way that when we click here, it deletes the project. Okay, so for this, we need to create a function that's going to call our action. So I'm just going to call it on delete click. And I'm going to use our narrow function here. This takes an ID. And then we're going to call our delete function. Props dot delete project, and we pass it the identifier. Perfect. All right, so now that we did this, then we need to update the project element so that when we click on it, it deletes the project. So for this, we can get rid of the A tag here. We don't need that anymore, or we don't need it at all here. And then on the li, which is the main element that we're clicking, we're gonna put an onClick, and then we're gonna do a this.onDelete click.bind. Okay, this, and then the project identifier, which is what we're passing. And remember, we're getting this from the props that we're getting from our parent element. Okay, with this in place, we should be able to delete one of the projects that we have in our dashboard. Okay, so I'm just going to restart this. Okay, just a second, guys. I'm just going to bring this here, go to the dashboard. Now we're going to hit delete, and nothing happens. But I think if I refresh, then it goes away. Isn't this ugly? Right? Like, you know, delete this one, refresh, then that's when it goes away. Well, this is where Redux is gonna do. We're gonna be able to do something awesome with Redux. Okay. Now, we can only delete a project that exists, and if the project doesn't exist, there's nothing to delete. It's that simple. Okay, and we already have safeguards in our server for this. So basically, what I'm saying is that if at the project actions, we can safely say that we're not going to have any errors, and that we can completely trust this to just delete it. Okay, that's going to be deleted at the database. And again, this is not like the full solution, because yes, it could very well happen that the server is out and that still deletes it. But anyway, let me first show you the use case before I start rambling, and let me show you what I want to do at the reducer layer, so that we don't have to refresh our page every time we delete a project. Okay, so just scratch everything I said there and just pay attention to this, and then I promise what I was rambling about is going to make a little more sense now. Okay, so from the project actions, when we dispatch to the delete project action type, we're passing the ID parameter that we're passing on to our function. Our function calls the action takes this parameter, goes back to the server, deletes it, and then dispatches this to the reducer. Then, in the delete project, what we want to do is that we want to return the updated state without having to rely on the response from the server. Okay, so for this, we're just going to use JavaScript, ES6 to be more specific. And what we're going to do is we're going to say state dot projects, right, which is the list of projects that we load here, and then we're going to use the filter function, right? And what this is going to do is that we're going to filter the project that has the project identifier from our action payload. So basically what we're telling Redux is, I know that you're calling the server, but also get rid of it here, right here on the state. Okay, because that's gonna save us a refresh, which in turn saves us a round trip to the server to then come and pull the entire list again. So with this in place, this should work. if I did everything correctly. So we're gonna try and delete this one, and now it should be more dynamic. And it's making me eat my words. Why is that? Let me see. Okay. Let me just take a quick look at what it is that I did wrong. Because to be honest, I'm pretty confident that let me refresh this, and I actually went away. Actually, let's troubleshoot this for a little bit, okay? There's nothing wrong with also doing some live troubleshooting here. So what we want is for this to go away when I click it, and I'm pretty sure that I set things up in my reducer so that it would do so. So at this moment I'm a little bit at lost as to why it wouldn't. Okay, so we have the projects, then we're getting the project from the state, and then we're filtering it, and then we want to remove that from the action payload. So why isn't that working? Okay, well, let's just go and see real quick. I'm just gonna do some research on my part. Actually, let's take a look at the project action. So I'm passing the payload. I am passing that, that's fine. Okay. Then the project item looks good too. On delete click, this is a props delete click. It passes the ID, perfect. And then when we go to here, this bind. So we're binding this, which is good. And actually, the whole thing is working. The only thing is that that's not doing is updating our state. That's the only thing that it's not doing right now for us, and which is kind of annoying. Let me see if I wired everything up here, which I'm pretty sure I did. Okay. This is annoying, guys. I'm sorry, but again, you might as well check this out. If I see that it's taking me way too long, if I cannot figure it out right this very second, what I'm going to do is stop the video, because I mean, it works. It's deleting from the database, and actually let's go check that first before we move any further. And you know, if that project's not there, let's just do the whole thing again. Roku project, delete. Okay, we deleted. Actually, that was very bad of me. Actually, what I wanted to show you is that I can actually go to the database and see that's there. It's there, and then if when we delete it, it works. All right, and it works. You know what, guys? What I'm gonna do is I am going to stop the video here. I'm gonna take a few minutes, and then I'm gonna come back with the solution, okay? Because I don't want you guys to just be sitting around and just waiting in confusion for me to try and figure this out. So I'll be right back. Hey team, welcome back. So this was a very humbling moment right now, and believe it or not, we were stuck on an I, literally on an I, because this is what I had here. Project identifier, and the name of the attribute is actually project identifier, right? And I should have read, and I'm just gonna save this so you guys know what happened. And this is why I'm saying, when you run into trouble, go check my code, because I am not going to commit anything until it works, and that way you can, you know, do that comparison. And you know, it's again, it's embarrassing, but it happens, and I'm gonna show you what was happening, right? And also, this is on me too, because I just should have read the console log error when I had it. But if you see here, I'm just gonna add another project here, and then when I click delete, nothing happens unless I refresh. And it's because I am not passing the right attribute. It's project identifier. Project identifier is the right attribute, as you can see here. Project identifier. I'm literally embarrassed, guys. But again, this is what I'm saying. This happens. That's why I'm doing the whole branching thing for you folks, because this happens, right? Sometimes it just was an eye, like it was literally an eye right here. I was like, what's going on, right? So, you know, it happens, but now it should work. As you can see, we have the new project that I just created here, and then I'm gonna close this down. No, actually, I'm gonna keep it open, because you see that we have both projects in the state, and I want to show this, you know, without having to refresh, without having to do anything other than deleting, and it goes away. No refresh, no nothing. Dynamically, it goes away. And this is beautiful. And this is the power of Redux, right? It just went to the state, and after the API call, it dispatched the reducer, which just took this away from our state. And again, here we're literally filtering out that project by project identifier from the action payload. We're literally just altering that data structure right there. Now, I know that a lot of smart people might be asking, so what if the server is down? That is a really good question, and to be honest, I don't know. I never tested this before, and I now want to find out. So I'm going to do this. I am going to put this project here. I am going to come to my Java server. By the way, I do want to show you guys that I do have that project created on the database. I'm going to grab my Java server. I'm going to stop it, right? Which doesn't make this crash, obviously, because they're running on a node server, on a different server. And now my server is offline. And if I come and try to delete this, it won't work, because it fails at trying. It fails right here, right? Because it has an await, right? So it just fails. It keeps failing. It's like, hey, I can't reach anything, so I can't delete anything, right? And so that's why it never dispatches this. So that's why our project stays right there. But of course, now that I restart the server, since we have an H2, we're working with H2 right now. Excuse me. You know, it's still gonna clean everything up, because we do not have any data anymore. Okay, so this completes the delete cycle. Team, I really hope you enjoyed these two initial sections. Get your feet wet with both Spring Boot and also with Spring Boot APIs, and also with React and Redux. In the next few sections, this is what we're going to do. We're going to keep working on our use cases, which is obviously to once we have a project. Give me just a moment, because I'm going to bring in the cloud app. We want to go to project board. We want to obviously have project tasks here. We want to be able to update them just like in the demo. Then we want to be able to also log out, log in, sign up, and all that stuff. Okay, so that's going to happen in the next few sections. I'm still deciding what we're going to do next, but what I promise you though is that next section, whatever it is, whether we do security or whether we do the backlog, we're going to go straight into the backend first, because it's easier to do the React development once you have a backend that you can test against. Thank you so much. It's been my privilege to work with you during these two first sections, and there are more sections to come, so stay tuned.